special test transmission. So this will be on Sunday the 5th of May. The switch is going to be 13 megahertz. So it's a very high frequency. And we'll see how it goes. 13865 kilohertz. 13865. Now the test will be between 8 and 9 UTC. That is 9 and 10 British Summer Time. That is 10 till 11 Central European Summer Time. And then again a second test on the same frequency between 16 and 1700 UTC, that's GMT, and 17 and 1800 British Summer Time, 18 to 1900 Central European Summer Time. That's next Sunday, the 5th of May. Special test transmission 13865. We'd be very interested to hear if you could receive it wherever you are and what reception is like as well. Just for a bit of fun. Now then, time from Dave Scott's Pure Memory Slot. I was rather sad recently, all these radio stations nowadays switching off medium wave, which is a bit of a shame. I suppose it's understandable. Very limited listeners and it's very expensive to run as well. Back in the early 1980s, the pirate radio station in Shropshire, which is a very nice place in the central part of England. Sunshine Radio started broadcasting just outside the town of Ludlow. Then later became a legalized commercial radio station, but continued broadcasting on AM as well as FM and DAB as well. Now I remember visiting them way back in the early 1980s, and they were broadcasting from a barn at a farm on a hillside just outside Ludlow, and you walk past all the cows and the tractors, and then into the barn, and there was a big curtain, and then behind the curtain was the radio studio. It was very basic, but it worked very well. They also had a transmission mast, which was on a tiny island in the middle of a pond in the farm, which made it more difficult for the authorities to get to in case of a raid. Well, they carried on broadcasting even through the commercial radio days on 855. They decided recently, eventually, to switch it off, which is a little bit of a shame, but understandable. But they're still going on FM and DAB and online and on the app and all that sort of stuff as well. But here's a recording of the radio station originator of Sunshine Radio in Ludlow. His name is James Harding. I had a pleasure of meeting him a few times. Broadcasting back in May 1981 from Villa Farm in Greet in Shropshire, just outside of Ludlow. This is on 1129 kilohertz.
FRS goes back in time. This is a flashback.
40 there, and don't let it pass you by. Hello side, a new entry in the chart this week at number 14 on Sunshine. UB40, which incidentally stands for unemployment benefit because these guys got together when they were on the dole. And I think they did the Warren's theme, don't you? Make nice listening, especially on a Sunday afternoon. It's 10 minutes before 3, or somewhere near there. And with the Sunshine. We're just having a little tidy up here in the studio. In Studio A, as a matter of interest. We call it Studio A because it's the only one of its kind, if you know what I mean. And if you can appreciate doing a radio program live from sort of conditions that aren't all that good, because this morning at about 10 o'clock, we started getting all records out and sort of trying to sort all ourselves out. And we played probably in the region of about 300 records or something like that, I suppose, up to date. And they're still speckled around because the people who we're employing here to do the driving of programs and the sorting out of records and that sort of thing aren't doing anything. They're all dancing around and making funny noises at one another. I think they call it talking, but I don't know what they're trying to do over there. But if you can imagine all the mess that's around the studio at the moment, it's quite chaotic. There's literally records thrown around all over the place. But we're just having a little tidy up, and just thought we'd tell you that because I had picked a record out which I played earlier on this morning, and it stuck on my mind a bit, and I thought I'd like to play you this one. But the one I'm trying to find you, it comes from, let me see now, I can't even remember, so how the devil I'm supposed to find it without knowing the title, but I don't know. But it's called Fire, from Arthur Brown, that's right, The Crazy World of Arthur Brown. I'm trying to find that one because that is a sensation. And I thought it would go down quite well on Sunshine. But before we put this one away, I'd like to give it another airing. That's if you don't mind too much. It's a sad but true story. This is the sad but true story about young old James. Just said that. It's sunshine. Good afternoon to you. There you have it, gang. The second time around on Sunshine. That's Eleanor James from Chairman of the Board. Almost 5 minutes before 3. And I was just reading something here in the local rag mag. And you know, how things sort of strike your eye. And it's just curious, but at the same time, they're remarkably silly. I mean, listen to this. It's also official. And the county secretary signs it as well. And it says here, a public meeting. Provisions of cattle grids on the AFR 117 at Clee Hill Common. And it goes on to say, take notice that a public meeting will be held in the Clee Hill Village Hall on Tuesday, the 9th of June at 7:30 to discuss provisions of cattle grids on the A4 117 at Clee Hill Common. I can't help it. I've got to have a little giggle to myself there because it was so official. And also, take notice. And they go on about categories. I'd like to say good afternoon to anybody that does live up on Clee Hill, and I hope you haven't got trouble with your cattle grid. Central Tutor there for you, gang, on a super Sunday afternoon from Sunshine. James Harding with you. It's awfully nice to be here with you, enjoying it extremely well. And I hope that you're enjoying the programme as well. It's 3 o'clock right here, 3 o'clock. And that's down 5 places from last week's number 11 to this week's number 6. Simple Tudor, Sword of Affairs Men. And do you remember I was reading something in the local newspaper? And my feelings about radio is that if a town can support a local newspaper, it can also support a local radio station. You just think about that one. Because the cost to put a radio station on the air, well, it cost us about £7.5 to put Sunshine on the air for these 2 days. And that's absolutely straight. It costs about £7.50 to put Sunshine Radio on the air for two days. So I should imagine if we worked out on a weekly basis, it would probably be in the region of about £22-23. Well, I suppose that could be arranged. Anybody out there got 23 quid they don't want to sort of waste? Because if you have, you can give it to us and we can provide you with Sunshine. Unfortunately, it's not quite as easy as that because there are technical legal laws that prevent us from doing it. And even now, you never know, even now, somebody could be listening and thinking to themselves, that shouldn't be on there. We might have to do something about it, but I hope not. And I hope that we're allowed to continue broadcasting this afternoon and tomorrow because it's quite something to have your own local radio station, especially one that shouldn't be there. And as you'll appreciate, I'm sure you do appreciate it because it's an awful amount of work to put into it on the programming side. But the financial side, it cost us about £7.5. I think actually it was probably a little bit less than that. I think he was joking there. But what a great radio station Sunshine Radio was to this very day. That was Sunshine Radio from Ludlow in Shropshire. Way back in, what was that, 1981, broadcasting on 1179 kilometres with James Harding from the farm just outside Ludlow in Shropshire. The studio was in a barn. The transmitting mast was on a little island in the middle of a pond in the farm. It was just absolutely wonderful. And they did eventually get a broadcasting license to continue broadcasting a medium wave on 855 kilohertz as well as FM and DAB, but they've now switched off the medium wave transmitter for the last time, which is a little bit sad, but I guess it's understandable at the same time.
Now online, the FRS website, FRSHolland.nl.
Hopefully a bit more information about that in a second. This is Dave Scott's Radio Waves, free radio service Holland.
This is Dave Scott's Radio Waves on FRS Holland.
Oh yes, certainly is. Yeah, talking about our website, and I'm sure Peter will be telling you more about this in a few minutes, but he's been working very, very hard on rebuilding the free radio service Holland website. Check it out, FRSHolland.nl. Hopefully it will be ready. If it's not there today, it will be there very, very soon. Loads of brand new features. Just before I go, a few more hellos. People who've been in touch since the last broadcast. Albert Ford in Yeovil. Hello to you, Albert. Not too far from me. Jun Mitsui Makida in Tokyo, Japan, listening through the SDR web receiver, and also in Japan, Akiyoshi Teruwaka Fukuoka. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. In New Zealand, my goodness me, Chris Mackerel in Marahalmotuka. Is that how you say it? Probably not. Thank you, Chris. And in Spain, Juan Carlos Perez Montero. And Roger Larson in Sweden as well. All listening both direct and shortwave through our own transmitters and also through those web SDR receivers as well. That's all that's to leave for today. Right here on the Free Radio Service Holland in just